In this 30th Sunday of Ordinary Time, Jesus is confronted by the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, and the lawyers, who ask him a very demanding question. They ask him, what's the greatest commandment? Now, there were 600 different prescriptions and laws, and they're asking Jesus to boil it down, to whittle it down to what's the most important thing, what's the central thing. And Jesus is going to say, it's love. To love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. When we reflect on our own life, do we recognize, have I loved God with everything I've got? With my whole heart, my whole mind, my whole soul. You imagine in a family that's talked about God and loving God with all their whole heart, mind, and soul, that it eventually, in a sense, kind of seeps in deep down and takes root in the heart of the person. What do we talk about the most? Do we recognize that that's the greatest thing in our life? Love and loving God with our whole heart, mind, and soul, that's the most important thing. And do we see that reflected in our life? Does our love for God constantly grow more and more and more intense? But Jesus also says we should love our neighbor as ourselves. G.K. Chesterton, once in his very British wit, said, the Bible tells us to love our neighbor and to love our enemy. It says probably because generally they are the same person. Love really is to will the good of the other person. The greatest good that we can will for someone else, of course, is eternal life. See, once we have realized that we have been loved intensely by God, not because of anything we have done or accomplished or how good we are or even how bad we are loved by God, then that love in turn flows out to love for our neighbor. Jesus is going to take these two commandments and he's going to boil it down to one. To love one another as I have loved you. And he's going to show that love by giving his life on the cross for us. That's the love that each of us have. That's the love that each of us is to give. So may we go forth this week to love God with our whole heart, mind, and soul, and to love our neighbor as Christ has loved us. God bless you.